He's Steve Kerr, Turner Sports, CBS, who joins us now. Hi, Steve.
I'm not going to say it, Dan. Don't worry.
You're not.
Just going to say hello.
Have you ever told a teammate you loved him?
Yeah, I have. But it was in the heat of the moment. You got to understand.
Okay, wait a minute.
It wasn't at the end of a phone call.
Okay, at the heat of the moment, what do you mean? Jordan hit a shot and you tell him you love him?
Post game, you're celebrating, you're going crazy. Yeah, I think those words come out sometimes.
You told Michael Jordan you loved him?
No, it wasn't Jordan. I think it was Pippen. He passed me the ball more.
All right, when you fill out the brackets, I'm more interested in what you don't do. If you were giving advice with all the information you have here, what would you tell people not to do filling out the bracket?
Oh boy, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been doing this tournament now the last couple of years. This is year 3, and when you do the tournament, especially the first week, you don't even fill out a bracket because you're so busy. And so, like last night, I'm up late watching tape of North Carolina A&T and Liberty, who are playing tomorrow in Dayton. So you think I have time to fill out a bracket? And I literally have not even tried to kind of dissect the brackets and figure out who I really like. I'm trying to figure out everything I can about Liberty and North Carolina A&T. So you got to give me a break here.
Is there a formula though, if you're looking at what a team must have to be successful in the tournament?
I do believe in point guard play. I mean, I think that's just huge, and I think that's true in the regular season as well. But I mean, the teams that have talent but don't have a point guard, I think that they're usually trouble. If you have a team that's got decent talent, but they have somebody who can really take care of the ball and understand situations and really get his team in the right mindset and take care of the ball, all that stuff, I think it becomes huge.
Are you looking at the college talent since you also do the NBA for TNT? Can you look at these games and also have an eye or at least a thought of how would they project into the NBA?
I do it all the time. It's really kind of fun, actually. I did the Big Ten tournament the last couple of days, and I've been watching Aaron Kraft, and a perfect example. The guy's an elite defender. He's probably the best on-ball defender in the college game that I've seen in forever. Maybe, Mookie Blaylock, Greg Anthony. He's that kind of elite defender. But you sit there and you watch and you go, all right, is this going to translate to the NBA? Will they call fouls on him? Because there's no hand checking in the NBA, but there is in college. So can he be an elite defender in the NBA, good enough to be a backup point guard? And it's a fascinating question. The guy's an unbelievable kid and a great player at the college level. Can he play in the NBA? I don't know. That's what all those scouts are sitting courtside for, trying to figure it out.
Who is the best pro prospect that you've seen this year?
Boy, that's a good question. I think probably Ben McLemore. I really like Oladipo at Indiana as well. I think he can be much better as a pro than as a collegiate player because the game opens up and he's so explosive. And I like Oladipo's toughness and grit. McLemore's the guy who just sort of jumps off the page with his skill set. I mean, just the shooting off screens, the size, just the smooth way that he moves. And he's so young, you figure he's going to get a lot better. But those two guys really jumped out for me.
Yeah, I got a chance to watch McLemore start to finish in a game, and I like that. I think highlights are deceiving, where you can see guys and say, "Wow, I love that athleticism," or "I love the way he can shoot or rebound or defend." When you watch start to finish, you get a better read on some of these guys. McLemore he's a pro. He's a pro guard right now playing for Kansas. But I don't know, can a guard or a big man, if you're going to have somebody who is your leader, can you have a guard lead you to a title, or is it still a big man?
Oh, I think you can have a guard lead you to a title. I think your team needs to be good defensively. If you can't rely on a good big man offensively, but you have a great point guard, I think it can work if your team defense is really sound, really solid. That's why a team like Ohio State is able to win the Big Ten tournament and be a high seed. You don't have a great team, but and you don't have great bigs at all, but you've got a great point guard in Kraft and a guy who can score with Deshaun Thomas. But more than anything, you got a grit and a toughness with your group under Thad Matta, and they can win a lot of close games and go deep.
Hey, Steve Kerr, Turner Sports, CBS coverage of the NCAA tournament gets underway tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, the first four on True TV. You're working the first four on Tuesday, part of the tournament coverage throughout the Final Four. The Heat have won 22 in a row. Are they talking about this in the locker room?
Yeah.
How important is this? That you got Celtics tonight. How important is this, what they've accomplished right now?
Oh, I think it's how important it is to them, you mean?
No, to us. To us. Yeah, when we look at this, how impressive is this? To them, they're probably saying, you know what, 22 is nice, but we want, 34.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I watched them, about 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I watched them almost lose to Sacramento at home when the streak was, 11 or 12, something like that. The streak didn't matter at that point, and you could tell. And they were really close to losing several times. Once it got up to 15 or 16, I think they realized they were doing something special, and it gave the regular season more meaning for them, other than, hey, let's just be ready for the playoffs. Now you get to 22, now you're getting close to history, and it gives us a different sort of way of looking at this team. Because even with winning the title last year, it's amazing to me how often we hear people say, "Oh, they're still not, the Bulls or the Celtics or the Lakers. They're still not great. They got to win 4 more titles or whatever." This gives us another sort of context to really realize how great Miami is.
When the Bulls won 72 games, longest winning streak that year was 18 games.
We never talked about 72 until about the last 2 weeks of the season. What I remember about that season, though, was that we'd win like 12 in a row, and then we'd lose one. But when we lost, Michael would be so angry that we'd have to win another 10 in a row. Otherwise, he'd be upset in practice. He literally just kind of willed us during that season. But I remember Phil Jackson late in the year. We were probably 62-7 or something, and I remember he said, just kind of offhandedly, and he hadn't mentioned 70 at all the whole year. He just kind of one day at practice said, "You know what? It'd be great to have less than double digits in the L column this year." And that was it. And then he just sort of made a reference to it. He wanted to go 73-9, so we didn't quite get there.
But it got to a point where the last couple of weeks where you started to realize how many wins you have, how many games left. And then it became a little bit more, not obsessive for Jordan, but it became important for you guys?
No question, and I think that's what's happened with Miami. I think this streak would have ended a while back, but once it got to 15, 16, now it gave the players an edge. It gave them something to shoot for. And now I think they're fully engaged. And this is normally the time of season where you got a 10-game lead. You're going to be the 1 seed in the conference. You're not really that locked in. They look totally locked in now, and they've got something to play for, and it makes it, I think, much more compelling for the fans.
You got the Lakers, and I thought that they had found their rhythm. Then they had the loss to Atlanta. Kobe gets hurt. Kobe tries to come back against Indiana. They still win. They won yesterday against Sacramento. Now they got the Suns. We don't know when Kobe's back. We don't know when Gasol is back. But Dwight Howard has started to be maybe a little bit more of the Dwight Howard we expected. Kobe said if they made the playoffs, that they're going to be a big, in his words, big problem for people. You see that?
I think it depends on who they play. I give them a ton of credit. I counted them out about 3 weeks ago. When Gasol went down, they were getting blown out by people, and I just felt like it was going to take a collapse from Houston or Utah for the Lakers to get in. And that has happened, but the Lakers have done more to earn it than anything else. I mean, that Indiana win was maybe the best of the year. And last night was not going to be easy. I know you say, well, it's Sacramento, but those guys can score. And again, no Kobe. You're coming back from the East Coast. So the Lakers have put something together. I don't see them really challenging Oklahoma City or San Antonio. But if they could climb up, to the 6th seed possibly, now you're looking at a little different matchup. Maybe the Clippers, maybe Memphis. But yeah, they seem to be gaining steam and gaining confidence. So it's getting interesting now.
Yeah, your Final Four is what?
North Carolina A&T.
So you got Louisville in there, right?
I don't think Louisville is going to get there.
Wait, did you fill out your Final Four?
I haven't filled it out yet.
Oh, you haven't had time. That's right.
I told you I'm busy, Dan.
Okay, all right.
I just think it's so hard. I mean, I'd love to sit here and give you my bold Final Four predictions, but I mean, here's the way I look at it. I mean, to me, Jay Billis is like maybe the best college analyst out there. Smart. I mean, he's got all the numbers. He's a good friend of mine. He's fantastic. 2 years ago, I listened to his rant about VCU. Why does VCU get in? But by the end of his rant, I'm like, what? He's right. These guys have no business being in. I mean, he laid it all out there beautifully. 3 weeks later, they're in the Final Four,
yeah.
and I use that as an example, not to bust Jay, although I enjoy doing that. But I just think it's so difficult, and these teams are so evenly matched that to sit here and just announce our Final Four picks it's kind of all for show because none of us really have any clue what's about to happen.
Well spoken. Thank you, Steve.
All right.
I agree with that. That you have, Billis knows, he studied it. All these guys, they know it, study it. It's March Madness. You're trying to understand what's going through an 18 or 19 or 20-year-old kid's mind. And they're not Goliaths anymore. There's a whole lot of Davids out there. What really is an upset is not an upset.